One late night, I crawled out of my bed, climbed the hill in the pitch darkness, picked my footing by starlight, and paid Captain his midnight visit. Listen, so Cedella, and if you've missed the past episodes, check out the playlist. Because right now, Cedella's mother has passed, unfortunately, and her father has remarried, and she's quit school. And now she's going to the fields with her father to plant, and it is there that she sees this old white man on a horse. So let's pick it up. He came to our house every day. This would be Bob Marley's father, this older 50-plus-year-old European man on a horse. This Captain Marley to sit on the veranda, smoke his pipe, and have a chat with Papa when I was still a little girl. So for those who are asking, she's saying yes, the time where every day and come a cock up on the veranda, a smoking pipe, she was a little girl. He would often stop me in the hall or in the yard and ask me, "Are you feathering yet?" Let that sink in. This elder who is sitting at the yard, chilling with Papa, our Papa, is watching his daughter, this little prepubescent girl as she's growing, asking her if she a feather. Then he would give my breast a playful pinch. What name playful pinch? Playful pinch? You know what? Because of this, his antics, I used to run inside when I saw him riding down the road towards our house. So I don't know who's around seeing that. Anytime this person comes, and that's usually a telltale sign for children, if they don't want to be around a person, pay attention. Anytime this person comes, she disappears. She doesn't want to be around because she's kind of being molested. Playful pinch, it says here. But he would come into the kitchen to light his pipe and always either speak to me or run a joke. So wait, Mr. Man pon the house, get off of the house, go in on the veranda, go around the back, around the front, and wherever their kitchen was, go into the kitchen to make sure you found this little girl, according to the narrative, and run joke. When since Big Man I run joke with little Pitney. I continued to grow, and soon I was 16. So this was around from 10 to 16 or 11 to 16, thereabouts, that she kind of zipped the timeline. But now she's telling us that it started early on, and now she's 16. And the whole world could see I was now feathering. So what he wanted, the pre-feather, he was like, me now go wait for she fully feather, come here, ask her. She's saying the whole world could see that she's in puberty now, right? She's maturing, and basically she's filling out. Suddenly, a young woman filling out with her nature, front and back and everything, hip and everybody. I was not quite as keen about the sweaty labor in the fields of Smith, but was instead fussing with my appearance, so she never want to go a farm no more. She a primp on her. Brushing my hair and checking my reflection often in the looking glass. Captain used to drop by more and more. Pop, Captain appeared on panic. Captain said, "No, man, me can't make this thing get away before somebody else come and swoop it in. So me have to make sure say me come round all the while now." For he had recently moved into a nearby house on the hill that he rented from Yeye. And Yeye is, I don't think we read that part, is Omariah's mother. So that would be her grandmother. Yeye would be her grandmother. So she's saying that Captain now is in the jurisdiction of the host. He's closer and he's boarding with her grandmother. He would stop and talk to me and ask why I didn't come to visit him at his house that night. She's in love with a man nearly thrice her age. Sometimes I would say yes, I would visit him, but then I wouldn't go. And the next day when I saw him, he would cut in your eye, emotional guilt tripping, glare out the corner of his eye at me in the way Jamaicans do when them vex. After me come round here, butter up and all of them something. That's supposed to make her feel a kind of way, right? Or he would sulk and not talk to me, making me feel bad about the way I was treating him. Manipulation, emotional exploitation. Where are the adults in the situation? One late night, I crawled out of my bed. So after he's wearing her down, she's already been groomed with the pinching panda woman titty, the little pitney. I ask her inappropriate questions. I make her feel uncomfortable. I emotionally manipulate her. No, she weirdo now. 16-year-old. One late night, I crawled out of my bed, climbed the hill in the pitch darkness, picked my footing by starlight, and paid Captain his midnight visit. Why me I try retain myself? Let me just continue. I spent most of the night with him, slipping away early in the morning before anyone was awake and sneaking back into my own bed. Nobody in my house knew or saw or suspected. That night with Captain was my first time ever with a man. So 50 odd year old Captain take the flowers of this 16-year-old girl, Cedella, Malcom. After that first night, Captain wasn't satisfied. Satisfied my soul, but wanted more and more. He, he still dropped by to visit Papa, but now he would be sure to take me aside and beg me in a whisper to come to him again. On one visit, when he winked at me from the drawing room, my sister Enid saw. And if you look at the Marley documentary on Amazon and they're interviewing her sister Enid and say, yeah, man, Captain was about 50 something, man. She was about 16. If I'm not mistaken, that's the sister Enid that saw the wink. The wink. Awakening again in the pitch blackness a few nights later. One Captain, nobody else never about. Me know Omaraya did I take up the whole of the woman them brown there, but what nobody else was around. It says, awakening again in the pitch blackness a few nights later, I sneaked out of my room and climbed the hill in the darkness to Captain's house. But wouldn't that also be where your granny is? Nearby where your granny is? You never afraid it go get catch. Anyway, ah, my brother surgeon, who shared the room with me, woke up and found me gone and started to cry. Papa rose by my brother sobbing, came from his side of the house to find out what happened. Sidney that here, my brother blubbered. Sidney gone. What? Papa exclaimed. He woke up my brother. Gibson, get up, boy, get up. And they lit lights and began combing the house for me. They went from room to room and not finding me, were stumped. I wonder where this girl gone doing in a middle of night. About where to search next when Enid, who remembered Captain's wink, said, you know, maybe she could be over Captain. At that, Papa and my brother Gibson stormed into the night and up the darkened hill to pound on Captain's door. Open this, Captain! Norval, open that door here. They caught us both fast asleep, inside, facing the wall, and in a dead sleep beside Cap. She rub up in the night. She rub up night time with the hey, Cedella Madabuka. I sprang up at the deafening pounding and in my confusion kept bucking my head against the wall as I tried to scramble out of bed while Papa banged so loudly on the door that Captain's little wooden house shivered like it suffered night fever. So for those who saying that Captain had a whole lot of money, his other brother had business and resources, but why is it Captain living in a pop down house near Yaya Yard? You feel me? Anyway, city in there, Papa bellowed. Yes, yes, the flustered Captain answered, trying to climb out of bed in shock. Your daddy, I rub up with the people them pitney after you groom them up, right? Will come down and come visit me. Open up, Poopa roared. By then, I was out of bed, and before Poopa could catch me, I had flung open the door, flashed past him in the darkness, and was blowing like breeze down the hill. I could hear male voices raising anger behind me in the night. Scrambling down the trail, I rushed into my room, grabbed a small grip. I kept under the bed, tossed a few possessions in, and flew out of the darkness to cry out and hide in the cellar. You see what happened? You see what happened? Problems. Okay? All of this because Captain did it. I try scheme on people that. I'm gonna take a commercial break right here and then we will be right back for more of this story. I hope you're enjoying the reading. Listen, this is brought to you by Open Book Media. It's an awesome site and it has on it all type of articles if you are interested in all things literature. So we have information about this particular book club, as you see here, all of the videos beautifully laid out for you, as well as your story. I am going to think everyone's story is important. So I created a free course to help you to get to write your own life's story. We even have writing contests if you need to get your creative juices going. And if you are interested, like who is this lady who's reading me stories and having me cracking up, you can learn a little bit more about me as well. Already? I could hear Papa raging to Miss Lorleen in his bedroom. That little wretch! You know where she was? Over Captain. What you saying? Miss Lorena explained. You wait till daylight, Papa vowed angrily. I cowered in the cellar until the angry muttering had died down, and everybody was once again asleep. You see how Captain go catch you little picking in problems? It was so dark where I was hiding that I couldn't even see my hand held right in front of my eyes. I carefully felt my way out of the cellar, put the grip atop my head, Shagamarket, no, and headed down the country road in the darkness. Fearful and anxious, I walked for hours, meeting not a single soul along the dark road. The surrounding fields and mountains were blurry in the nighttime mist, and every step I took made a noisy crunch on the mark. I kept eyeing the dark woodlands for signs of life, tormenting my brain about what I would do if I met up with a rolling calf, which was the devil in the body of a hairy old cow. Hours later, the long night gave way to day, and I found myself at Alva and the house of my maternal grandfather. So her mother Alberta father, where did Meg Amariah marry her mother, whose name was Uncle Dan. It was dawn. The birds were just waking up and beginning to make their first daylight noises. Daughter, what bring you here so early? As daylight broke. Where do ya? That's what you wanted to say, but daughter, him so nicey. Uncle Dan asked with astonishment when I showed up in the first light at his doorstep. I began to cry, showing him my little sorry self. I'm a mother-in-law tell lie upon me, I sobbed. I met me daddy beat me. Tell lie upon you, Uncle Dan cried. Poor you, poor you. What you do? Me not do nothing but take wood at that time in the creaky shack round a Mr. Captain man. Sorry, it didn't say that. Me not do nothing, I bawled. Me not do nothing. Lie? You did do something. Well, Uncle Dan said wearily, if you come, me not throw you out. I don't know the fullness of what happened, but you are my grand pitney, and me not throw you out. And so I was able to stay with him for a few days, helping around the house and hiding from Poopa's wrath. On the third day, Captain rode up on his horse. Captain, where you have GPS? GPS in a 1940 and Captain, where you do a roll up on the house? On the third day, Captain rode up on his horse. I don't know how he had found out where I was GPS. I don't mean that GPS, but I was not surprised to see him, for our community was very small. Uh, may, may I try to get Captain Vice, Siddy, you have to go home, Siddy, he begged me. Your father says he's going to take me to court and sue me because you're underage. So, Captain, you never know that when he da pinch you like a picnic titi. You never did know that when he da beg you picnic to come at your house so you could have turned the lights down low and stir it up. You never did know that when you did want more peace. No, because the man step into the chat. You know, says she could go home. Sorry, guys. Back to the book. This is a little, you know. You've got to go home, city. They're going to kill me if you don't. More guilt trip again. You did a. Let me. Captain was a man who loved to cry. It's interesting because in Rita's book they say that of Bob as well. He was very emotional and he liked to cry. Right? He's easy to cry, is what they said. And so it looked like he took after his father. He got that Norval in him. As I had by then found out, and whenever his heart was troubled over any little foolishness, I water would flow. That day, while he was begging me to return home and telling me how he was living in direct hell, so what me have to do with that? I'm sorry. Plenty water dropped from him blue eyes. So now we know that Norval had blue eyes. Interesting. But I was still terrified of Papa and ashamed because everyone in the district knew what I had done. I refused to go home, no matter how hard Captain begged. Me not gonna wait now. Hey, look, y'all. This one is gonna be a little longer than usual because we gotta, you know what I mean? The next day, Captain came again, implored me to return home, saying that he wasn't leaving without me. He explained the trouble to Uncle Dan, who was also of the mind that I should return to Papa's house. So you go your grandfather, you got tell lie. No, Captain a come. Now him know the true story. And Captain a say, yo, you have to rescue him. Save him. Go home. So how Captain could have find him, but your father couldn't find him? To avoid facing Papa, I was prepared to try anything. In my desperation, I even followed up a tip my Aunt Lou gave me about a minister, one Brother Wright, who lived along in Clarendon and needed someone to take care of him. My girl says she's moving out. A few days later, I set out on the dirt road to visit Brother Wright. I walked the whole way with my cousin Boise, who was going to take a donkey down from the man's property back to St. Anne. Brother Wright turned out to be an old white man in a straw hat who said he couldn't pay me for taking care of him other than with room and board, but I could pick all the fruit. I wanted from some of his property and sell it on the roadside. Brother Wright said, Brother Wright, I tried to tell the city in a igla. What? Being alone on a faraway hill with this strange man and no other woman nearby didn't appeal to me, but I said I would consider the offer and trudged back down the road beside Boise, drifting gloomily towards Papa's house, not knowing what to do or where to go. We were taking turns walking and riding the donkey back to Alba when we came across a part of the road that coils around a series of hills. I glimpsed Papa and Brother Gibson approaching on bicycles around a distant corner. Ratted story I come to bump. Jumping over the bank on the roadway, I crawled under the overhang bushes and hid under the lip of the dirt. Papa rode up and I heard him demand, "Where is City?" "Me don't know, sir," Boise lied. "She must be somewhere. About the place. You know, sir," Gibson added. He began throwing rock stones in the bushy back. Come out, come out. Me know say in there. Sorry. Embankment to flush me out, but because I was hugging the overhang, they sailed over my head and fell harmlessly into the bush. After they had left and Boise assured me that the coast was clear, I crawled out from hiding, plodded fearfully across the commons toward my grandfather's house. A few days later, Captain, you again. When you not just face, when you did that sweet to Captain? Hmm? You never did that think about the consequence. A few days later, Captain came galloping across the fields to my grandfather's house, dismounting and beginning to weep, begging me to return home, saying he would do anything if I obeyed him. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. The whole, but anyway. But I was stubborn and afraid of Papa. Captain, however, was determined. He said this was now courthouse business, and that if I didn't return home with him this very night, my father would persecute him. Didn't you do it? I mean, I'm just saying. He begged and begged. I was of one mind, then another. Uncle Dan advised me to go. Finally, I got worn down by all of Captain's begging. As night was falling, I agreed to go back with him, and we set out in the twilight for 9 miles. For the sake of time, I'm going to jump down a little bit. They're trudging their way back to her father's house. Captain rode up to the veranda. got off his horse, and went inside where I heard him say to Papa, I bring your daughter home, sir. Then he got on his horse and rode away. Later that night, Papa appeared in the doorway of my sister's room and looked long and hard at me. And I quailed in a far corner, and he said he heard I'd gone to Clarendon. I said meekly, Yes, sir. He said he didn't trust that minister man and was glad I'd come home and not gone to work for him. I replied, Yes, Papa. Another hard look and walked heavily away. That night, with a giddy sense of relief and joy, I slept soundly again in my own childhood bed. Early the next morning, Papa went for Captain and me, calling the two of us into his room while my sisters peeped timidly in at the conference from every window. 'Cause enough of them, you know. At first, Papa was very stern, telling Captain that he had to be responsible for anything that happened to me because I was underage. Captain agreed he would be responsible. Siddy, Papa asked me, You love Captain? Yes, sir, I whispered. Captain, he asked gruffly, You love Siddy? Captain said he did. Hey, hey, we're in love. Captain and Siddy. Papa asked if he intended to marry me, but Captain said, No, he couldn't do that just now. Papa said that he agreed, for he thought I was too young to marry. All right then, Papa declared. Siddy is belonging to you. You are fully responsible for her now, since she love you and you love her. Understand? Captain nodded. She's living under my roof, Papa continued. So I will feed her. She can steer, but everything else is your responsibility. Understand? Captain said he did. And from that moment on, as witnessed and no doubt sussed about in our district, yes, that requires us. That requires us. Me not lie. That very day, by my peeping sisters, our whole world knew that although only 16, I was now the woman of Captain Norval St. Clair Marley. She decree and declare that she had the omen of the 50-odd-year-old man. Oh, yes. So guess what? Stay tuned because this joint is it not get saucy yet. It not get saucy yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, share, and yeah, if you miss any episodes, go ahead and go to the playlist and catch up. All right, one.